All right, guys. Hey, welcome. It's been a few weeks, maybe a little over a month since we've done a town hall. I wanted to get everybody together, but actually going to be using this as a platform to publish later on His Advocates TV, either all or part, because today is kind of like how I'm looking at what is going on in the marketplace, and people are like, Kelby, the cryptocurrencies are going down, and I'm like, dude, shut up. It's just so short-sighted, it's so not thinking through, and it's so stock market-ish, and that's not what we're talking about here. This the crypto community is not a stock, and it goes down. The volatility of it is actually not as bad as some stocks, but it's not like stock. And so I just want to communicate with you guys today, and we're gonna talk about forecasting, and we're gonna talk about why we believe what we do. But we're gonna start from scratch because we do have some new people that join the VIP members membership, whether they hear it now live or they hear it later. This is an opportunity to explain to people and why it's so important that we get our minds wrapped around, because many of you guys have been VIP members for years and years and years. And a lot of what we've been doing and talking about, and I have been talking about crypto since 2018 or 19. And the story, for me, I'm going to do a really quick version of this because many of you heard it. I had a $30,000 opportunity to invest in Bitcoin back in 2012 when it was around $10. And I chose dinar because I needed something tangible in my hand. And I didn't really believe in Bitcoin. And if you'd have told me Bitcoin would have been worth 100,000 a coin right now, of course, I'd have been worth about 300 to 400 million, whatever that range would have been. And that's kind of like how life is. And so I had a friend call me up and say, Kelby, um, I don't care what you're doing. I need you to invest your time and spend at least a day or two looking into this and acquiring this, and just sit on it. And he gave me a bunch of reasons why. And he was talking about XRP. And XRP is a currency. Well, currency, if you technically look at the actual definition of it, it's a country's coin, if you will. So technically, it can be a currency. It can be a people's currency, but it's not like, hey, what's up, Gabriel? Long time no see, buddy. Um, but it's not like a typical currency as one would suggest. It's not like a dollar bill. It's not like what we would know as a currency. And when you're looking at the need to see the future of something, you got to source it. You got to source who made it, who created it, technology wise, um, the patent sources of the creation, when. Um, you got to look at the surroundings, who's pumping it, who is purchasing it, and the play that they did. What I mean by play, the offering, the reserves, the escrow, the relationships being developed, all of this wonderful play. And you're looking around the room and you see the world is in attendance to this play. And so I I literally spent about 5 hours watching videos, and I said, okay, oh my God, I didn't realize really what we had in our hands. And it's not just one currency. There's several that are really of value. I'm just going to speak to really one today, which is Ripple Labs XRP. XRP is the coin. Ripple Labs is the creator. Um, when you look at how they rolled this out and the futures and the elements of, and it's going to sound funny to you guys, the elements of The Simpsons writing 15 years ago, XRP will be 589 by EOY, and everybody presumes EOY means end of year. Where you have power brokers out there that are pumping Bitcoin like hardcore. Michael Saylor, pumping. He's what's known as a Bitcoin whore, Bitcoin um, protagonist, not protagonist. What is the word? Anyway, he buys. He has a fund and he buys billions and billions with investors' capital Bitcoin. Now, what people don't know is that guy was a part of a company in 2002 that scammed 7 billion from its investors. And so, who better to get the world out there excited about a particular crypto to get them pumping money into a particular crypto called Bitcoin than this guy? And so I started when I background the guy about 3 or 4 months ago, 5 months ago, whatever it was. I started thinking to myself, okay, I've already heard billionaires say if you knew who created Bitcoin, if you knew who owned Bitcoin, you wouldn't buy a dollar of it. Not saying you can't make money on it, not saying you can't pull a profit on it. I'm just saying what these billionaires are saying, and two of them specifically. And I'm like, why are these billionaires? Because they always seem to know. They always forecast everything in the world because they hear something from a friend or from whatever. And so I'm that guy listening. I'm watching. I probably watch 5 to 6 hours of content a day, and it's just specific content to the stuff that I want to see. And I'm not even watching all of it. Sometimes I'm just skimming through double speed, whatever it is, just to get the content and digest it and understand it. But here's this guy who is pumping Bitcoin. Here are these billionaires that are saying these things about Bitcoin, and then lo and behold, this it's not a rumor mill comes up about a year ago, stating that the algorithm used to mine Bitcoin, SHA, it's called, I believe, SHA-256, is an NSA patent, and the white paper used to create Bitcoin is a spinoff of another white paper that the NSA had created earlier and published earlier, and they changed the name on it and changed the creator's name a little bit. Now, Scottie Pippen and an ex Lakers fan and Michael Saylor are on a stage, and you can go Google this. And Scottie Pippen says that he met Satoshi Nakamura, I believe is the name of the said creator of Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor, who's in the know of whatever's behind Bitcoin. This guy has probably done the research and he's probably being used by his buddies to do what he's doing because he's buying large volumes of Bitcoin at 50,000, 60,000 per coin. And he's out there saying it's going to go to 13 million, it's going to go to 20 million, it's going to go X. And he actually got himself a seat on the presidential advisory board for crypto or whatever that first meeting that they held last week was called. And to me, when I look at people, the one thing that you can know about me, if I can ever share really something unique about me that I don't really share with people a lot. I've shared it with members a few times, but I can look in the eyes of a man and I feel like I know his spirit, and I don't know how else to say that, but I can look at the eyes of somebody and I can know, and may believe this or may not believe this, and I don't really care. I believe there is a thing called possession, and I believe that you're wholly owned by the Holy Spirit or you're wholly not. And the contrary could not be to your, it could be to your detriment. It can maybe not be to your advantage. But I have seen, literally, I've done some, without going deep into this, I've done a ton of research on possession. And I've looked in the eyes of people that were possessed, and it is eerie. And I see it immediately. And I don't know how else to describe it, but the pupil, meaning the brown and the black, if their eyes are brown, the brown goes away and it's all black and it's glass and you can see the back of the eye kind of a thing. And it's literal looking at the eyes of a demon kind of a thing. But that's one way of saying, that, and really to me, that's not like an art or a craft or a gift of being able to see, that in an individual because that's blatant. It's easy. What I'm talking about is the ability to feel the spirit of a person and to know kind soul, evil man, evil woman, kind of a thing. And I am right a lot on this matter. And when I look at this guy, Michael, I'm just telling you right now, I feel the con job. I feel it. And I feel like he's very disingenuous. And I feel like we have to listen to what he's saying because the contrary, the flip, the opposite is the way. And so I started taking the position of running from Bitcoin. And I converted all Bitcoin to World Organization Standard ISO 20022 compliant. Not saying that's the only kind out there. There's a lot of great coins, currencies that projects you can get behind. I'm behind a couple of AI coins, but I believe with absolute certainty that what is about to happen is going to make and change the lives of everybody listening today if they take heed and they step in. Now there's a lot of you that stepped in a long time ago and bought crypto. And we're just waiting and we're holding our bags. It's what they call it. We're holding our bags. But there's these coin phrases that you got to get used to hearing and you got to start heeding to. Because the future of crypto is very different than, like back in the day in the 1800s, they had these banks and, it was kind of like a jailhouse. They put your money behind some bars or whatever, somebody would come and hold it up and they'd only get so far. But, it was very different back then. And modern day theft of banks is something completely different. Like supposedly somehow 1.5 billion got taken from an exchange, about a month ago. And what you're seeing in the marketplace across the board is a correction. And in my opinion, based on what I've heard, you're seeing that company and others make a play and go after what's known as the long-term puts, which are the bets against the marketplace that it won't reach a certain level long term. And so by flushing down the price points, you're blowing past all the puts and the banks are collecting on all those puts instead of it getting to a certain threshold over a long period of time and then they get paid bigger dividends, meaning these people that make these bets against the marketplace in a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, whatever. I have friends that's all they do is they play against the put options in the stock market and they make 2-3 million a month. And to me, that's, it's money, but it's you're betting against the downward spiral of something quite often, or you're betting against a failure of something, but you also could be betting for the success of something and the rewards are really great. And the only thing that would screw somebody that does that is if the market were to completely crash. And so this is why we are seeing what we're seeing in the marketplace right now. Where it got up to $3 and something cents for XRP, now it's down to 220 or 215 today. And you're seeing a lot of crypto down and so forth, but you're seeing the marketplace flush out. Why? Because the United States made a option to make three coins a part, basically five coins. Originally, when it was announced, it was three coins, and I really want you to pay attention to that. There's nothing done without thoughts behind why they're playing the games of what they're doing. And so when they put out originally, Trump tweeted ADA, um, XRP, and Solana. Now, each of those coins has a specific function of what they do. They did not mention XLM. Blew my mind. And obviously, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, has had many meetings with the CEO of the U.S. corporation known as Donald Trump. And since Trump took office, Brad Garlinghouse has met him 3 times or 4 times, including the meeting. And so I'm sharing this with you because there could be some strategic stuff that's lining up that could exonerate the United States corporation, like literally from all of its debt overnight. And why it's so interesting, like going back to the beginning of this dialogue when I started talking, the reason why I made the play for XRP in the middle of all the strife, in the middle of all the adversity, in the middle of the lawsuit with the SEC, when I found out the SEC was suing them and XRP went down in price, I bought. And and I kept telling you guys about it. They've been sued and don't worry about it. It's a play. And I explained why I thought what I thought. And this company had the reserves. Why did I know they had the reserves? Because they were showing the amount of escrows that they had, and they were showing that they were liquidating about 1 billion of XRP every couple of months just to cash up and to put into the marketplace. And at the time they started, I think it was 50 billion that they had in escrow, and now it's about 38 billion. But how they designed their platform, and I'm not talking technology wise, they designed it so they could do this exact play that we're talking about. So they can literally walk in and wipe the debt of the entire United States of America and put the United States of America back on track to being the leader of the free world overnight. Now, there's so much positivity in that. There's so much goodness in that. But what's left for the rest of the world? Everything. Why? Because they all have the same opportunity that we do. It's not a USD, it's Ripple, a global financial international monetary settlement system, XRP, exchange rate pay system, an extremely inexpensive way for people to move money like this. And to where I can send money to somebody in Russia and buy something and they're paid in seconds, and I can have a shipping number in return for the product that's now on its way, or maybe it's a digital product or what have you. The level of benefit of XRP is so beyond understanding at this point, but in 5 years, you'll get it. The benefit is beyond anything, so much so that Bank of America's entire internal and external money moving operations is based on the XRP ledger. Meaning, Bank of America has been doing business with XRP for a long time now. MasterCard doing business with XRP. American Express doing business with XRP. MoneyGram doing business with XRP. And remember, I've been watching this for 6 years and watching the moves of Brad Garlinghouse and the plays and the counterplays. And it's really interesting because I get, for some reason I got to see some really important interviews. One of them was when he was talking to a reporter and the Swift president, Swift, 6 trillion a day moved internationally. And little tiny Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple Labs and the Swift president, all these great, things of how big they are, how powerful they are, kind of conversation. The lady says to Brad, and starts talking to Brad about Ripple and all the things going on and how many companies they're picking up. And basically, what Brad was doing, and I didn't get this till a couple months ago, but basically throughout the interview, what Brad was doing was telling him all the customers he was picking off from Swift. See, Ripple knew this all along. Their entire system was not for people, it was for banks. So the creation of the Ripple whole Ripple system was, let's create a couple nodes for ourselves, make it so nobody can jump into those. We can protect them. We'll run all transactions through those. But let's allow open source nodes, open source ledger that people can create, write code on top of, and do all kinds of different functions for their own banking institution that they weren't able to do before, but yet move money through our system for next to nothing instantaneously to the other side instead of 10 days, 15 days like Swift. And so by the end of this interview that he's having, Brad Garlinghouse and the president of Swift, he gives a job opportunity like a smartass, pardon my French, to the president of Swift and says, look, when you're, and it was very, he wasn't being a smartass, outwardly, but it was just like checkmate. Um, by the way, after you're retired, we would love to talk to you about potentially hiring you. Like, dude, who are you? We're Swift. We're we're the institution for the world and the way the world moves money. And that is a truthful statement no longer. Because XRP, Ripple, has picked up all of Japan, all United Emirates, all these major countries, like 75% of Asia, the Fed coin is going to be operating through ultimately an XRP ledger. It is said that they're going to be using XLM, but I want to debate that in the future. I believe the Fed is going to be 100% through XRP. If it was with Biden, it could have been maybe XLM or something else, but XLM is no longer a topic of the conversation. I'm not saying it's out by any means. I'm not saying it's out, but it was Donald Trump that created a crypto reserve system for three coins at first, and then said later, oh, yeah, by the way, Bitcoin and Ethereum are added. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and ADA. XRP is $2.15. ADA, I'm guessing 70 cents. Now, you got to look at the form and function of the use case all the way around these companies. Bitcoin has none. Bitcoin is useless. It's the perception that it has value only. That's it. There's nothing behind Bitcoin. Ethereum, ton of use, but it's expensive. It's not as fast. It's not as green. XRP, it's not a coin that you can mine. Ethereum you can mine, not anymore really, but Ethereum you used to be able to mine. Bitcoin you can mine. XRP you never could mine. It was just issued. And people would say, well, that's not fair. It's everybody hated Ripple. Everybody hated XRP because it was something that only the banks own. Well, see, this is how Swift worked, just to give you an understanding so that you will get what I'm saying about XRP. Swift would require banks so that they would guarantee the payments to have a Nostra, I believe it's called, like an escrow type account with billions, if not trillions, in, depending on the volume of money they would move on a daily basis. They would have to have these types of accounts that would be locked up where the banks would not be able to use them. XRP solved the problem. XRP is going to free up all that money with the Swift instantly. So instead of taking over the Swift, they're taking one client at a time. And they've taken a bunch, like half the world, if not the majority of the world by now, especially since the announcement of Donald Trump. But what the design structure of XRP, of Ripple Labs, was to create a structure and a system that would allow for banks to own the currency itself, much like a Nostra account, an escrow account, to where when the bank wants to move trillions of dollars, the bank would only have to be holding trillions of dollars of XRP to facilitate the function of the movement of those dollars. And whether it's actual ownership or whether it's actual escrowed money designated to banks, that has yet to be fully disclosed. But what's interesting is Ripple has freed up the money system for the world to operate and have any bank make their own coin, have any country make their own currency, have any bank move money instantaneously around the world overnight. And it's a real solution that they've tested like beyond anything you can imagine. Like they have done hundreds of millions of transactions a second to determine the volatility of the system, and it has not had any issues. So back up like 6 years and look at the basis. And we really haven't even gotten into the technology of Ripple Labs. But you look at the just the basics of the model. And this is one of those days where we should be screaming together for joy because we really got on the inside of something long before it took, long before it bit and went crazy for everybody to grab onto. We really got in on an action that I believe you're going to see in the next few years, if not sooner. XRP at like 10,000 a coin, period. I really, truly believe that. And there's so many reasons why. So when you look at the whole design and you look at at how the world leaders, the bad guys and the controlling guys, they still got to build a monetary system, and then they got to build an scapegoat, Bitcoin, in my opinion. So they're building this new monetary system, and they want everybody to be a part of it, and they want to control the way that the money moves, and they want to, you know, they want to be able to see how the flow of money happens. So they create an ISO, International Standard of Operating, ISO 20022 compliancy requirement for all banks to be of this standard, meaning you will adopt this into your practice of moving money by this date domestically and by this date internationally. Domestically in the United States, the date is July 14th. It was March 10th. The date moved to July 14th. It could move again. Internationally, which is Ripple, and remember, Ripple is we are dealing with international settlement opportunities between banks. And so when you look at Ripple and their big play, it's going to be towards the end of this year, and it could be something overnight like you wouldn't believe, like go to $100 overnight. And $100 is so not even far-fetched. I've heard those words of right out of Brad's mouth. Now, obviously, CEO going to pump. It's going to be an important thing. Um, that's what you do with your company, kind of a thing. But the reality is, Brad's right. Um, I've heard it out of Stuart, his ITO guy, head ITO guy. But more importantly, the amount of money that XRP has to be worth in order to make these banks desire to all agree, because that's really what's going to happen, is all banks around the world are going to agree on a price for XRP so that they all can play on this new monetary system and they all will increase their bottom line value overnight by X. Everybody wins when they do this, and the United States just got in on the gag or on the game. And so the United States is going to buy a huge amount of Ripple. And to me, I think it could be in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 to 20 billion. If it were me and I had the opportunity and I was the United States of America, I'd buy the entire escrowed account of 38 billion from Ripple, and I would flip it to 10,000 because it would only take it to go to 1,000 to pay off 38 trillion in debt. So would that matter to banks if you flipped it and you made a claim? And would the banks say no to that? No, of course not. They would sell off as a lot and go to 10 and come back down to 6, go to 10, come back down to 2. I mean, we saw Bitcoin going way high and then way low and then way higher and then way lower. But that's just people playing the markets. The reality is the design of Ripple was to house the transactions for the entire world and get the banks to agree upon it, because the banks will ultimately benefit not just from the model of Ripple, but the dollar amount value of XRP. And that is a game, guys, that is now fully open, fully operational, with the majority of the world players now adopting into this system. And you would have thunk that Ripple would have gone to 5, $10 on the announcement of XRP. Listen, being a part of the strategic reserve for the United States. Listen, the money doesn't get moved until the laws for the institutions that hold all the money have the ability to move them within the constructs of the laws. Meaning, there's 5 ETFs lining up right now for Ripple. Those are investment opportunities put forth by State Street, put forth by BlackRock, kind of a thing, saying, and by the way, BlackRock is extremely low profile, but doing a deal with Ripple. And there's numbers of 14 trillion. I don't believe those numbers, but no matter what, if BlackRock wants to make, and the guy that runs BlackRock, he wants to make all of the stock market on Ripple. He doesn't say it like that. He says tokenized. But there is only one company that is sufficiently of size that is gone through a lawsuit with the SEC, been deemed not a security, been deemed a currency. It's the only company legitimate in the world that's tested the time of the SEC, that's now been labeled a part of the strategic reserve of the United States, where now all companies are going to get these ETFs and other types of opportunities through the SEC, to where it now can be legal for these major adopters like BlackRock, like State Street, like Vanguard, like JP Morgan, BY Mellon, Chase, Bank of America. They can make these types of investment opportunities for their large hedge fund accounts that they control, for their large CD retirement accounts that they hold, for the derivatives, the stock, the exchanges that are happening on the stock market. Everything in the world, and we haven't even talked about tokenization yet. We're just talking about the element of moving the money through, this international conglomerate that's already got the relationships, already got the approval, and now been called a part of the strategic reserve of the United States. Holy crap. We did it. We totally did it. If you got 1,000 XRP, you're a multimillionaire. I would suggest buying a whole lot more right now. I am not giving you legal advice, although I'm not scared to. I am giving you coin advice. Buy as much and as fast as you can. But there's other opportunities that are out there. There's other ISO 20022 compliant currencies out there that are a great opportunity too. But the play today and the play that I have been on a soapbox for 6 years is XRP. And I have not changed my position one bit. You got to remember when I first came out with this, it was literally when the lawsuit started. Why would I come and talk to you guys about a company unless I knew the structure of what they were doing and why the SEC was doing what they were doing? So now you have Bitcoin. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you the creator of Ripple. Well, let's say this. Let's go back. The creator of Bitcoin, I've given you my opinion as being the NSA. Straight up. The creator of Ripple is an NSA derivative, meaning Stewart, the guy ITO for Ripple, used to work for the NSA. The guy that writes the code for Ripple used to work for the NSA. Okay, all right. I'm looking into this now. And Ripple Labs itself is the oldest crypto company in the world. 2004 they started. Now think about this. I was a young man. I was 34 years old in 2004. That's 21 years ago. So in 2004, the very first crypto company starts with a model, and I used to watch a lot of their old commercials, kind of like what their model is, but a little bit different. Well, a lot different, but where they've come from and where they've gone and how they did it blows my mind because their entire structure was to entice the banks to play ball and give the banks the ability to do whatever they needed to do, riding on the back of their exchange system. That's really what all of it. They're just giving the bank to write whatever code they need to do any kind of a transaction through their system instantaneously and quickly, but only if the bank uses the XRP ledger, which requires the bank to own XRP, like they did with Swift, which required the bank to tie up a bunch of dollars in a Nostra account, an escrow account, to guarantee the money from one side all the way to the other. And so this is, because there's that period of time, the bank can send the money. And so by the time the money gets to the other side, it's like the Swift system of moving money was archaic and old, paper driven, and just it didn't make sense. And sometimes it was a week to 15 days, depending on the country, depending on, how many different hands had to touch it and how much money it cost was ridiculous. 10 million would have cost a lot of money. And now Ripple, the oldest company that got founded, in my opinion, by NSA, meaning the guy that writes the code. This is important. And the same company, NSA, did a derivative of an old white paper, creating almost exactly the same white paper for Bitcoin, changing up the name a little bit, and then releasing it out and pushing. Let me ask you a question. Why did Bitcoin, which has no use case whatsoever, get the first ETF approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission? Why? It's pretty apparent why. Bitcoin operating largely on the back of China's hardware. I want you to think about this. A way to pay a government back behind doors through allowing certain transactions to fail people in the future, making it look like a scam, making it look like whatever, letting that money pass back through to China in a collapse, in an EMP attack, in a stock market collapse, in a cyber attack, in a whatever. Let's let Bitcoin go first and rise up to huge dollar amounts. And let's get a guy like Michael Saylor, who's a POS. I know I cussed. The S is a derivative, or it's a abbreviation for a cuss word. My apologies. Forgive me. But he is. Who burned $7 billion worth of a previous company. What a more perfect guy that came out and did this all at the same time they started to do Bitcoin. Hmm. Well, I'm not saying he's been involved since the beginning, but they got to watch the narrative happen. They got to watch how to make this thing go. But if Bitcoin does in fact go to zero, there's going to be trillions by this time down the road, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 trillion dollars. Bitcoin gets to 800,000, 900,000 a coin. Seems like it's never going to stop kind of a thing. And it's a great way to pay debt back behind the scenes. Let me explain one thing to you. Deals are not what you think they are. When Ronald Reagan went down to the Eastern Bloc of Germany and said and told Russia to tear down that wall. What people don't know is that wall was up for an agreed upon period of time. It was a treaty, and that they were going to control half of Germany for a period of time. And the play, Ronald Reagan is an actor. Oh, he's an actor. Trump is an actor. I think Trump has a more vested interest in the economy of things for the United States, but he's an actor. You're fired, guy. Remember that? We are watching things play out in this world, and deals are being done, and we don't know why or how. But if they were to tell little people like us, and we are, I mean, I'm not putting us down, but we're not at the top of the echelon of politics, right? We're not in one of the 13 families doing deals. We're not separating this world and dividing this world and using our 300 guys and our 8,000 enforcers to make stuff happen. They are. And I don't care how many generals, and I don't care how righteous of a dude Donald Trump is, unless God is on this guy's side, it's going to come exactly to where the Bible said it's going to come. And do I see a reprieve happening? Yeah. Do I see an opportunity to make a lot of money? Yeah. But I also see them forecasting what they want to show to us. And I'm gonna play a video for you guys that was done in 2016. It was the X Files, and it's a 4 minute video. It's a compilation of exactly what happened through the pandemic. And then at the very end, which I can't confirm if this guy is a part of the show or if he's added on to it after the fact. Because look, guys, we can't trust anything anymore except what God puts on our hearts. We can't trust anything. My lady, we took a picture. She was sitting on my lap, and we're just looking at the camera and smiling. She downloaded this app from this guy who told us to download it. It's called Clone AI, and you could put the picture into the app, and you can say, "I want to make this couple in this picture kiss," and turn back and hold up a glass and whatever you want. So it's a picture of me and her, never doing this before, not kissing in the picture and just looking straight forward. Next thing you know, within 2 minutes, we're kissing, we're toasting, and it's all AI generated. And I just went, oh my God. I saw this back in 2008 with Barack Obama on a campaign run when it was the first time I saw it, but the technology is old, is my point. And I'm celebrating this technology 17 years after they ran it through Barack's campaign. Check this out. You would put your name in to the campaign screen, and the next screen, Barack would say, "Hello, Kelby. Would you like me to sign it to your name?" And then you would say, "Click yes." And then it would be Barack saying, with his fingers, his signature, saying to Kelby and signing it on a video and then handing it to you. I'm like, oh my God. It really felt like special. And we don't know how many millions of people did that. I'm saying this because there are technologies that are out there that we just don't know what's real or what's not. And I kind of feel like with the systems and the technologies that we got to be very careful right now with what's being presented. And so this is why we got to go with what we know is a very low risk. And I'm telling you, a couple bucks on a transaction is a low risk transaction. The amount of money you're spending for a coffee every day is a low risk transaction. Buy an XRP or two XRP on the same price of your coffee. Very low risk. The reward could be 10,000x in 5 to 10 years. You will never, again, and I know I've said this to you guys, but we have new members all the time coming up. You will never get an opportunity like this again. I've said this many times, and I keep wanting to drive home the point. And I'm also saying that you need to be careful of the money you do have. Don't think for a second that if the economies collapse or if an EMP attack hits or that you could lose everything that you have overnight. Well, guess what? You can. You can lose it unless it's gold and silver. You can lose everything you have overnight. And so to me, it's like, what do I do? Do I want to risk selling my retirement? I would risk selling a retirement account in a second. I would take the 20% hit with the IRS in a second to put that money into gold, silver, XRP, XLM, XDC, bar, Algorand, Solana, not Bitcoin, not Ethereum. I would, in a second, do that. I would take $1 million, and if it cost me 200,000 to pull it out of a retirement, I would pay it, and I would put that money diversified into a ton of gold, ton of crypto, and you would watch me blossom overnight. That's essentially what I've done. I haven't put money into crypto, or excuse me, into a bank or into a retirement account at all. I mean, you got to use the banks for as a transmitting utility, but I would not keep money in a bank at all. And there's just no purpose in it. And but you got to be in charge of your keys. Like what is being disclosed right now over and over, and you got to hear the disclosures. And so what is being disclosed right now is that you don't own anything that's on a Coinbase account. You don't own anything that's on a Kraken account. You don't own anything that's on any of these exchanges. You've got to have a hard wallet, a cold storage device. It's called a hard wallet. I call it a hard wallet. Some people call it a cold storage. It's you got to have one of those devices that has a set of keys attached to it that requires those keys to move any money anywhere. And there's the technology behind it's pretty interesting. Some tie your personal information, your fingerprint, a code. Some have a passphrase. Some have a combination of all of it. Um, I got to tell you right now, I'm extremely excited because I know for a fact that they can't design these types of things. And don't get me wrong, you can go to a CES show and you can start figuring out and go to these technology shows and you're going to figure out fast that the smart guys are building back doors to these devices, not to be necessarily hacked, but to stay outside of the grid of control. And I was going to CES shows. I was president of Smart Card Corporation in 1996. And as a Christian, getting very, very convicted of it, by the way. We sold our interest. I was also 50% holder of National Electronic Clearinghouse, which sold to a major clearinghouse for 6 million in 1997. I got to meet Diebold, the vice presidents of Diebold. I got to meet all the major players of Silicon Valley. I was in meetings like, which blew my mind, and I felt like I was heading the world into a unified chip or the mark of the beast. And I ultimately walked away and changed careers into golf, and I can get into that with you one day. But I have owned two golf club manufacturing companies, and I was doing infomercials and all kinds of stuff, fun back in the day. But I'm saying this to you because in those meetings way back in the day, those technologies that were being presented today were built in the early 90s. And those technologies that we're looking at, like smart card reader devices, where you can take a credit card on one side with a smart chip and put a credit card in on the other side, and this device would be able to transmit the money here to here, and then later when you put this back into the bank, it would then resolve with the bank the amount of money. But you were doing private transactions. Well, now the transactions can even be through the air, where you can walk up to somebody, tap on their device or whatever, and pay them. Well, it's going to be the same thing. So I was going to CES shows and developing contracts with these types of entities for our smart chip technologies. Well, now 28 years later in life, having that kind of knowledge about what's going on, I'm still going to these shows to work on how to make sure that we remain private. And there are solutions. We don't need to worry about them right now, but there are solutions that these guys are working on. And see, it doesn't matter like we develop and we get these solutions out right now because the solutions change like this. And where you have a solution to them controlling the money, there's always a guy. Here's my point: there's always somebody on the other end that's developing a narrative that's to the contrary that allows you to stay private because they want the same thing for themselves. And so we have those relationships is the point, but I'm not going to release anything from a standpoint of private side transactions for somebody because we're not even there yet as a nation. We still have a dollar bill in our pocket. There is coming a time where they're going to knock that stuff off and they're going to say, oh, by the way, coming back onto the grid after this nasty EMP attack, which is why I want to show you this little 4-minute video. But coming back onto the grid after this nasty EMP attack, you've got to really think, what is the play? Well, the play is exactly what they say it is. In order for you to collect on this amount of money or this amount of gift every month or whatever, you're going to have this kind of a device or registration or mark in order for you to play. Now, I don't think the mark of the beast is what people think it is. You get a fan on. Hold on. I don't think the mark of the beast is what people say it is. I think people think it's the number 666 tattooed on your body or the number of a barcode which has derivatives of digital 666 in the barcode. I don't necessarily even think that, but it doesn't matter what I think right now because we're not close enough to that. We're within a short time period, don't get me wrong, but we're not close enough to that really to invest our time in it. We just need to know that it could be any number of things, and we all want to stay private and we want to stay out of it. And we also want to be able to have capital and food and these things so that we're not, ingesting food that has mRNA in it or, vaccines in it or whatever. And I'm not putting down anybody that has a desire to kill themselves and take vaccines or whatever. And I'm not being a smartass when I say that, but I'm just Just being real. There's a lot of people that are hurting right now because of vaccines, and that's just truth. And if people have a problem with that, that's okay. This is my platform. I'm able to say what I want. But we are so blessed to be in front of a curve of something. The majority of the world has never even heard of any of what we've discussed. They haven't even had the opportunity to hear about Ripple, XRP, a global reserve system, or a global exchange rate pay system that gives banks the ability to do what they're doing. Nobody's even heard of these things. And we're, for the first time ever, in a position, and we're 6 years in front of this. And it could be completely blown out and dialed in the next 2 to 3 years, which means you're going to see XRP's value increasing overnight like you wouldn't believe. Anytime a transaction happens, there's a thing called a burn rate, which means they get rid of XRP. Now, I know why they do it. I'm not exactly agreeing with why they do it. But what it does, it increases the value of future XRP. And they're doing that from the escrowed account. Now, it could be that they just burn the balance of the escrow account, but that doesn't make sense to me either. I think that they need to use the escrow account to entice some of the bigger institutions into deals. Um, you know, and this has nothing to do with even Ripple going public. This has nothing to do with banks and institutions doing what's called tokenizing on the Ripple network. Um, it's been said that the DTC, which keeps a copy of every security, every birth certificate, every stock, has been tokenizing, creating a digital equivalent. Just look at it that way. Tokenizing the assets of the DTCC for about 8 or 9 years on HBAR. That's a rumor. One company like Bank New York Mellon um, has 2 trillion in personal assets, another 55 trillion in other banking assets. They're like the bankers bank, one of them. That 55 trillion on the Ripple ledger would mean a certain amount of money is going to be moved through the Ripple system, just like it was with B of A. Just like it's going to be with pretty much every bank in the world, and the stock market and the real estate markets. You're going to see everything that has value in the world get a tokenized equivalent. So a piece of paper, bonded, secured, put into the public, held by the counter recorder, tokenized. Now, what you can do with that tokenized asset is almost anything. Like what they were doing before was not able to be tracked. Like what they were doing before with homes is they were taking the equivalent value of the note, which is said to be the value of the transaction in its entirety of a home loan, and they were putting it into a mortgage-backed security, getting a CUSIP number on it, registering it with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then they were doing another thing called um, taking it and slashing it up into these tranches and cutting it apart into 50 different tranches, creating 50 different investments, and you weren't even able to tell who you were to bring to court in the majority of your cases, which was widely known but not supported, meaning the judges are the trustees of a bankruptcy. And that's the bottom line. That is in the federal rules of procedure. Okay. That is absolutely a factual statement that the judges are bankruptcy trustees for the United States in favor of the creditors, which are the banks. So start looking at life in that equivalent, and then you're going to be able to pull out of that what they have to do to get out of debt. And when you're saying we're going to get out of debt overnight, what's really happening is you're paying banks trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars overnight. Why wouldn't this be such a powerful move, powerful play? Why not balance the budget? Why not get the people out of debt overnight? Make Trump look like a blonde god. Why not? Because the banks, the power brokers, the 13 families, whatever you want to call them, would receive this influx of overnight capital, and now everybody would be on the game and the playing platform that they controlled, ISO 20022 compliant. And now they can start putting the hammer down on countries, which is the next step after everybody gets on and starts swinging the bat and playing ball. So once all these countries get on and start playing ball, it's going to be an interesting rollover of next turn of events. So let me turn this on real quick, and just know something. This was created in 2016. It did play out exactly like this thing forecasted. You can find this on His Advocates TV, the home screen. Go down to channel 13. Media, Lies, and Programming. Just know we're just starting to build our own network out, and I'm pretty proud of it. But again, channel 13, Media, Lies, and Programming. It's the first one right here. X-Files, Vaccine, Depopulation. Actually, let me stop share so I can share the sound too. Hold on. Share that. Share sound. There we go. Okay, here we go.
Claims.
Claims about what?
You and everyone you know has a piece of DNA in your genome, put there without your knowing it.
Put there by whom?
Well, that's the question of the day.
This is an internet lunatic. You're not saying you believe him.
Hold on, Agent Einstein. You're talking to a scientist.
Forgive me, Assistant Director. It may sound insensitive, but the suggestion is pure science fiction.
What I'm saying, Agent Einstein, is that the facts, as I understand them, cannot be discounted out of hand.
No one has the right or the ability to tamper with your DNA.
Unless we gave them that ability.
When you say they're tampering with our DNA, that they're able to shut down our immune systems by the addition of something to our DNA.
Yes, but I don't know how exactly.
Or how it's being triggered.
I don't know that either.
Or why it's happening now. What can we possibly do?
We need to act quickly.
You were right about that.
Well, I was wrong about the science. I was wrong about what's causing it. Dead wrong, in fact.
But it's clearly a widespread failure of our immune systems.
Through gene tampering. A virus within a virus that was put there through the smallpox vaccine. It's what these men are calling the Spartan virus.
We have to figure this out. What's wrong with the science?
Okay. The Spartan virus removes the adenosine deaminase gene from your DNA. Remove the ADA gene and your immune system will simply vanish.
Yeah, but I'm not getting sick.
It's only a matter of time.
Okay. So how does it work? How does the virus remove the ADA gene?
A process called CRISPR-Cas.
CRISPR-Cas9. RNA and a protein cutting genes at exact locations.
Exactly. But in this instance, used as a weapon.
The ultimate weapon. The ability to depopulate the planet. To kill everyone but the chosen.
By tampering with their DNA.
Through gene editing.
Why do such a thing and lie about it? Our own government.
Your own government lies as a matter of course, as a matter of policy. The Tuskegee experiments on black men in the 30s, Henrietta Lacks.
What are they trying to do?
That's the missing piece.
But it's not hard to imagine. A government hiding, hoarding technology for 70 years at the expense of human life and the future of the planet. Driven not only by corporate greed, but a darker objective.
The takeover of America.
And then the world itself, by any means necessary, however violent, or cruel, or efficient. By severe drought, brought on by weather wars, conducted secretly using aerial contaminants and high-altitude electromagnetic waves, in a state of perpetual war. To create problem, reaction, solution scenarios to distract, enrage, and enslave American citizens at home. With tools like the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act, which abridge the Constitution in the name of national security. The militarization of police forces in cities across the U.S., the building of prison camps by the Federal Emergency Management Agency with no stated purpose, the corporate takeover of food and agriculture, pharmaceuticals and healthcare, even the military in clandestine agendas to fatten, dull, sicken, and control a populace already consumed by consumerism.
And I encourage you all to go shopping more.
A government that taps your phone, collects your data, and monitors your whereabouts with impunity. A government preparing to use that data against you when it strikes. And the final takeover begins.
The takeover of America.
By a well-oiled and well-armed multinational group of elites that will cull, kill, and subjugate.
Happening as we sit here.
It's happening all around us.
The other shoe waiting to drop.
It'll probably start on a Friday. The banks will announce a security action necessitating their computers to go offline all weekend.
Digital money will disappear.
They can just steal your money?
Followed by the detonation of strategic electromagnetic pulse bombs to knock out major grids.
What will seem like an attack on America by terrorists or Russia.
An invasion of the U.S.
The Russians tried it in 47.
I thought that was interesting. I'm going to be posting a couple of other forecasted videos by The Simpsons regarding a few things and the accuracy of The Simpsons. Don't get me wrong, but when I say what I'm about to say, it's kind of chilling to hear it. The night before Robin Williams was hanging from a doorknob in his home, and it was claimed suicide. His likeness and image was on The Simpsons hanging from a doorknob the night before. That's a fact. And it's not a conspiracy. It's been long wiped. I downloaded the video a long time ago, so I'm going to upload it to His Advocates TV and show you guys. Kobe Bryant was killed on a helicopter on The Simpsons 8 years before he died on a helicopter crash. Donald Trump was suggested to be the president of the United States 10 years before he was ever running for office on The Simpsons. I can go on and on and on. The good news is XRP is always talked about in a light, good opportunity and format for us on The Simpsons. And the first was Bart was in trouble and he had to write XRP will be 589 by end of year EOY on a board all the way down. And we don't know necessarily what EOY means, but everybody thought it was end of year. Bottom line is that number 589 has been surfacing around for a long time, and I'd be extremely happy with 589, but I'm really seeing it to be a whole lot different. But guys, there is so much more, and I forget the terminology that they do. They use what's known as Caleb and Brown. By the way, Caleb and Brown is not safe. No exchange is safe. Caleb and Brown is an acquisition of crypto. It's going onto the highway, on-ramp, a freeway, and the freeway is dangerous. You want to take it off onto cold storage, and where you're holding it, where you have the keys to the bank. And so no, Caleb and Brown, there's no exchange that's not hackable. They're all hackable. And so I just want to say that to you guys because people don't realize how important it is what I'm saying. I tell people all the time, get your crap off of exchanges and put it on cold storage or a hard wallet. But not just that. all devices, in my opinion, are susceptible to an EMP attack. So um, I keep a ton of these around, and I have them for the size of my phones. I keep one on me for my phone. I actually put my phone on. I'm going to talk about what I do on another show. Every day, how I live my life, because a lot of people might think it's funny, or it might be a waste of time. But I think we are up against things that we've never considered before, and we just got to, you know, do a few nuances a little more than the extra, because it's going to be the people that didn't dot their I's and cross their T's that are going to regret it. And it's going to be the people that did and listened and heeded. I mean, and it's stupid stuff. I have about 100 of these books. Don't laugh. I mean, I'm constantly just reading about things of way to save money, and like what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is what they're predicting, and what they just showed on that show. 70% of that came true, and the other is we're not at that point yet. But that show was an esoteric way for the power structure to give full disclosure of what they are going to do. And it could be just a suggestive programming to get us as a collective to bring it forward into existence through whatever. And that's one of the suggestions that are out there, that we have a power and we have the ability to create, and that just our thoughts will produce these things. And it's really a law of attraction kind of a thing for the world. It's not how I exactly agree with things, but nevertheless, that's what they think. And I'm just sharing that with you, that if you get the collective on the same thought process, and then living in the same fears and having the same, mindset, it will produce an event that they've all agreed upon, and allowed for themselves. And it also gives them a way out, because they've given full disclosure on TV in an appropriate period of time to mount up and to guard against. Now, remember something, guys. TV is not what you think it is. And I know you've all heard what I'm about to say before from other people and myself, but the CIA has been, Operation Mockingbird, they've been using movies and television to program us for over 80 years. This isn't news. So when you're watching a movie, look at the movie for entertainment, but also look at the movie for what it could be giving you full disclosure on. And just think in that format for yourself, and just dot your I's as you go. Now, that is their full disclosure of their intent in a lot of different respects. And I'm not talking about Marvel movies, but yes, at the same time I am. Like in Marvel movies, they are showing technologies and desires of what the bad guys want to do to the people. And they're showing world order structures, and they're showing, if you play Call of Duty, or you play, oh God, what's that? I haven't played games in years. I wish I had time, because they are fun. They are fun. Um, what's that one Xbox game? The soldier. What is that Xbox game? Anyway, um, it's all suggestive programming for the kids today, where it's United Nations Marine Corps, whatever it is. It blows my mind that all these kids are getting to watch this, see this, and so you got to forecast, which is the name of tonight's topic. You've got to stand in the gap, and start forecasting for yourself where you're going to be, because you can completely live outside of that box of whatever narrative that they are trying to create for you. Remember something. There is coming a point where they're going to be a hardcore shift of do this, bow down, or die. That's coming in a time period, maybe way later, if you believe in the Bible. But until we get to that moment, it's all voluntary. And so we can live outside of the box, live outside of the scope, and we can collect, and we can use the rewards that we have to join together or not, and do God's work in a major way here on this land. And I truly believe that we will be blessed beyond anything But don't get into a hoarding pattern. Don't think that you need to go buy a jet just because you may have the money for a jet. Literally think of it like I'm blessed and I got to give as much of it away to help the masses and to my goal is to develop communities that are in the 20, 30,000 people range in size to where we can support one another, we can help one another. But I also get discouraged because, and I'm being very honest with you, I'm a part of the Republic and I can't believe how dumb and gullible people are in and out of Republic. Let me explain real quick. The reason why I backed out of working directly with the Republic in 2012, 13 was because none of them realized the importance of state citizenship. They thought the Republic was an entity that they could create, and then when everybody stepped into it, they were just in Republic. It hit me like a ton of bricks. That you're not free unless you're personally free. What do I mean by that? You, Republic is you directly under God. And the Republic for the United States or the United States of America itself was just to uphold your personal republic, your God-given unalienable rights. What people are doing in Republic is saying that that's not necessarily true. What people are doing is saying, I can, by a stroke of the pen, make the entire people free as the president of the Republic. That is a lie. And I'm not saying I disagree with the president. He's actually a friend of mine, but he feels he's got more power within, I don't know, the constructs of the Northwest Ordinance. I don't know what, but again, he's a friend of mine. And I respect this man. But on this one thing, we differ. I'm like, how do you make a decision for somebody that has God-given unalienable rights? You can't. The Constitution says we have a right to contract at any time. And there is no more higher thing between two parties' abilities to contract with one another. That's the supreme contract on the land. And so that's, watching how the corporate structure is infiltrating the Republic and causing division is my point. It's hard for me to see outside of the box of 15 or 20 people controlling an environment because infiltrators, when you look at cases like the Bundy case, I don't know if you guys remember the Bundy case where they were killing their cattle and doing some bad things to the Bundys. They went through 3 trials, won them all. They were railroaded. They were the last family standing in an area where the Congress, the Senate, were trying to force people out and sell their land to China, basically, bottom line. Well, the Bundys, when it came down to their case, they found out 1 out of every 3 people, listen to the numbers I'm saying, 1 out of every 3 people that were in their defense, standing in the gap, freedom fighters, were secret FBI agents. 1 out of, now imagine you form an alliance with friends. I've heard a lot of stories being in the Republic for a long time. I want you to hear a second one. That's the first. 1 out of every 3. Here's the second. A guy who got a charge instrument was because his best friend sold him something that was illegal. His best friend of 8 years, an FBI agent, became his friend and had a relationship with him as a friend for 8 years and then got him to do something illegal and they charged him. That's what these guys are and who they are. So when people look at how protective I am of his advocates and how slow we have to grow, it's because of those 2 incidences that God showed me. So as we're trying to stay in freedom, I want you to never forget those stories. They're valid. And you don't know who is right next to you anymore. You can know their character, you can have intimate relations with them. But unless you've known them this is why we shouldn't divorce. This is why it's a difficult thing. It's why you need to know and circle around. I don't know if there's a Fed on the call. I don't care. We're not doing anything illegal. And what we are doing is as a private group between friends, and we can talk about anything we want. We can talk about investment opportunities. We can talk about anything. But the point is they are always listening and watching. And now that they have technologies that pull it all into play, every phone conversation, every facial expression, everything you do is recorded. They have technologies now through the router. They don't even need to have cameras anymore. They have technologies now with Wi-Fi where AI has gone in and it can actually say where you are and what you are doing in your house based on the way the Wi-Fi is moving around your house. They're literally building up a grid pattern of where you went, what you did, and how you did it, much like a movie, only in a shadow version based on the fact that you were interrupting patterns of waves in your house, and AI was able to see it and show a video of what you did. So when you say no Wi-Fi in your house, there's your reason, other than it's not good for you. Guys, we're in a different world. We are in a different world, and we haven't even touched on the technologies that they have. You can't even get you can't I don't think that you can get in front of this other than being faithful to your God, our God. And that's one of the things that I found interesting in a study is their inability to utilize these technologies to program the minds of Christians. I was kind of blown away by that study. I'm not sure of the veracity or truth, but I don't feel like I've been programmed. I don't feel like I've been turned away from God. I don't feel I've turned away from my desire to serve this nation in the greatest capacity as a I don't want to call myself a rebel. I think I'm a patriot. You know, I'm trying to stand up the republic. Isn't that the most proud thing that we can do as an American, to stand up the republic, stand against tyranny? You know, have you read the Declaration of Independence lately? That's your duty. It's your obligation. And they want to make you look like, you know, a terrorist for doing it. It's unfortunate that we're at this point, but you got to stand the ground is my point. You can't let this go. You know too much. We know too much. We know that they are evil. And this is right versus wrong. This is good versus evil. And this is a time to which God will judge you for running like a little girl with your, you know, tail between your legs. And I'm not trying to put down women. That's not what I'm saying. It's giving a metaphor of a little girl. We can't. We have to stand up to tyranny together. And part of doing that is making money. Part of doing that is staying close. Part of doing that is sharing data and information. And that's all I'm trying to do with you guys. But it is overwhelming what they have technology wise. They've been able to kill people remotely for 30, 40 years. They now have the ability through cellular phone service, supposedly, to send signals that can turn DNA off and or on. I can't verify that or validate that. That's a big rumor mill, but it's plausible. Knowing frequency can make life or death. I do know that. I do know a cellular device can produce frequencies. I do know that. You know, and so I worry about these things. But it's not something that's causing me stress. It's just something that I'm aware of. Anyway, got any questions you want to talk, join in. This is a town hall. We're coming on about an hour and 23 minutes. I just wanted to share with you guys this today in my mind has never been stronger. And I think this is a big, big, big day for us. We've scored. For those of you that have been a part of his advocates for 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever years, you know that we started talking about this 6 years ago, and we are about to play ball in a very big way together. And I'm very excited and I'm very encouraged. And Kelly, you have a comment?
You can see me and hear me?
I can. You unmuted yourself, and I see your face.
I did. Yeah, I'm still not as techie as I should be, so I was surprised that I hit the right one. Well, anyways,
I'm surprised I hit the right one.
I went through the the Coinbase website, and was starting to fill everything out. And then they wanted my social security number, and that kind of stumped me, so I stopped because I don't want to give them the social security number because I just went through the rigmarole of
Let me
resending
just
the
stop
social
you real quick.
security
Let me
number.
just stop you. It's guys, there's nothing wrong with giving a social on an account where you're purchasing cryptocurrency. Your worst case scenario is you buy a wallet with your foundation and you donate the crypto by moving the money from the Coinbase to the hard wallet, and then you make a receipt and a donation to the foundation. Not only will it be a deduction for you personally, but now the foundation has a paper trail and now ownership of the cryptocurrency, and it's on a hard wallet. So don't worry about that.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, great. I was all worried about it. So I don't
No.
want to give them
The
any
only thing
kind
I
of
talk
excuse
about the
later on.
social, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kelly, but the only thing I talk about the social about is when you're trying to go for credit. I'm not, that's just my personal opinion. When you look at like indictments and warrants, and like most everybody I'm talking to is never going to have that problem. But there's coming a day when maybe somebody will. There's coming a future where maybe more of us will. And I'm not trying to speak something in the light, but the reality is I looked at a ton of warrants and indictments to see how jurisdiction was gained, and it was the use of the social in credit, like for an E-Trade account where you're exchanging, and not an E-Trade account that was under a foundation name. It was an E-Trade account under the Social Security in your name. So it's not the element of using a foundation. Like you can open up a bank account in the foundation name with a social because that account is attached to the tax ID number associated to the foundation and has nothing to do with you. It's the element of using accounts in your name to trade and make a lot of money on, and then down the road you're going to have accountability and potential taxation, maybe not with Trump, who knows, but potential taxation, capital gains, and so on. So that's why we're doing that. And I'm trying to stay away from charge instruments, so I don't want to use a social security number
Yeah.
for anything. But no, I hear what you're saying.
Okay, great. Thanks for answering that. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. So in the next
Yeah, I
couple,
have a question if I could
yeah,
ask.
go for it.
There was something you was holding that you said is help for blocking EMPs. I was trying to, what is that? And is that where can I access that
So
if that's possible?
yeah. No, it's easy. So you just go to Amazon
Yes.
and type Faraday. I'm going to type it into the chat. Faraday, pouches, whatever, bags, whatever. And here's one for a little device like a key fob or for a hard wallet. You're going to want to put it
So you can use it
into,
for like a ledger, right?
yeah, you take your ledger and you throw it into here when you're not used, and you fold it over so that it seals, and then you throw it in your safe. Okay. I have one for
Okay.
a phone. You got to keep one. You got to keep a laptop in one. And so
Yes.
I have pretty much, unless I'm going to an airport, all of my backpacks are Faraday backpacks.
Ooh, they sell backpacks too like that?
Oh yeah. Here's a big old one for a big laptop.
Are they
Uh
pricey?
no, all this was 20 bucks, 30 bucks. You can get a bunch of good ones, and I've tested it. I put my phone in these devices and I try to call it and it won't ring. So
Hmm.
it blocks out the signal out and in, and it makes it very easy for us to use.
Okay.
All right. So Amazon all day long.
I'm going to Amazon right now. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. You got it.
Hey,
Elizabeth, what's up?
Kelby. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I was wondering, so can you buy XRP in the name of the foundation?
all day long. Like you can get a Kraken account, a Caleb and Brown account, under the name of the foundation, buy it there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, all
I
day
have
long.
I think I have Coinbase.
It's not bad to buy it in the name of your name, and then just make sure, Elizabeth, before the run up, make sure that you have a donation receipt from yourself to the foundation. It doesn't matter who controls the foundation. People have trusts all the time. They transfer deeds, they put their properties into trust, and now the trust owns it. It's the same principle with the foundation. If you show that you sold or donated the XRP or whatever the crypto is to this hard wallet that was purchased by the foundation, so you just simply go on to Amazon and use your foundation debit card, buy, and here's what I always tell people, I don't know if you've heard this yet, buy two of the same wallet. So I have a hard wallet. Um, I have a hard wallet. It's called, I have like 3 or 4 Trezors, and I have a Decent, DCENT. This
On
is a
Amazon?
biometrics wallet.
That's a hard wallet?
This is a hard, well, you can't see it. It's not
Oh,
open.
I thought it was a digital product, a hard wallet. It's an
No, no, no.
actual thing.
A hard wallet's the size of a car key fob.
Huh. Is it the Faraday thing?
The Faraday is for a hard wallet to protect it from an EMP attack.
Oh. Hmm.
And I'm gonna keep talking to you guys about it, but and I'll give you some links, Elizabeth, if you want. Just go click on support, post a support topic. We'll post some links to you. Okay?
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. But the second thing is listen. This is the most important thing. When you open your cold storage, it's going to give you some words right on the screen that you have to write down. Do not take a picture of your keywords. Do not type them into your computer. You handwrite them down on a piece of paper, and that's how you keep your words forever. You never put your passphrases, your restore words onto a computer or on a picture. Ever. There are people that are taking over phones left and right, and they're going through your pictures to try to look for that kind of stuff. And then they find your passphrase and they restore your wallet over in Korea. And now they're whatever that amount richer. So that's number one. Number two, you have what's called this is called a key keep. It's actually metal inside here, metal letters, and you can create your passphrase using this with metal letters. So the reason for doing something like that is, you can have your passphrase written down on paper, and you may get caught in a fire. You may be away on a trip and your house burns down. Whatever. You have to find a key important place that you put this that is fireproof. So I literally, and I've shown you guys this before, I've kept and I created my passphrase, and I put this into, along with, not together with a hard wallet, but put it into a fireproof pouch, and it is out of my sight. It's not in my house. It's not in my possession. And it's all I'm going to say. Gone. Why? Because if this house is robbed, there is nothing to steal. Unless they want to, which is some of what people are getting brazen enough, in the future. I think when you have crypto billionaires, you're going to need security. You're going to need to figure that out on a low-key basis, because there will be billionaires that will have robbers come, because this is a different age. It's no longer a bank that holds your money. You're holding your money, and you have the keys, and you have the passwords. So it'd be nothing for somebody to hold you up and to try to steal your stuff. And so this is why, unless you can have a day-to-day, like here's a great example of what to do. You can have the majority of your crypto on a device and far gone out of your reach. And then you can always get to that device whenever you're ready and transfer what you need over to a personal device. Like, say I need $1 million for this month. I know it sounds like a lot. Transfer $1 million worth of crypto onto your local wallet, and then you put that other device with the majority of it away, and you make sure that it's out of your touch, out of your reach, out of your sight, and safe. And so you have to build that. And I can't tell you what I've done. I've said it once before a long time ago, but I can't tell you what I've done. But my stuff is extremely safe and well armed. much like a bank, and in a big safe in a place where nobody knows. And it's like, that's, the only the federal government tracking my phone would know. And the bottom line is that's a whole nother thing, is turning that phone off and putting it in a Faraday when you get around your location. And it's a whole nother way to operate. And so we'll talk about how to operate once we get to that point of like the strategies of what to do. But again, I can only tell you so much. You have to kind of invent some of these strategies for yourself, because I can't tell you exactly everything that I'm doing. And because of systems and tech, and I don't want you to know what to look for to try to rob me. You know what I mean? But you have to create and invent some of these protocols for yourself and go over the top. You're going to have enough money to do it. Go over the top and think about ways to protect yourself. But don't be like the dork that put 2 billion into a triple SSL encryption, and he's willing to share the revenue of the money now with anybody that's able to crack open his encryption. You got to think through, like what it is that's going to be best for you. But this is a different world because we're the bank. We're no longer going to a bank to pull money out. We are the bank, and that's going to be the difference. Any other comments? Okay, guys, be blessed. I'm going to try to do another show tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to because I'm tired and I got to get this thing ripped and going. I don't think it's going to be at 6. I may push it to 7, but listen, I appreciate you guys jumping on. I'll try to do this in a couple weeks again and give you guys some updates of where we're going, but stay on the path, stay in the game, keep buying, keep storing, keep yourself as safe as possible. We do have guys, they don't work for us. They are self-employed, if you will, and they can help you for very inexpensively. Buy crypto, put it on a cold storage device, help you with moving money, help you when you're lost with any of this. And all you have to do is go make a support ticket on hisadvocates.org, and we'll point you in the right direction. So God bless. We'll see you in a couple weeks. I appreciate you joining, man. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question before you go?
Sure, go for it.
What's the name of that little box thing that you were showing that to hold the information for the
Keep
passwords and stuff?
safe. Keep safe.
Keep safe.
Call it. It's this one's a keep safe. Just call it a crypto. I don't know what to call it exactly. Just
But I
keep.
can get it on Amazon?
Yeah. Keep key, and it's just a little metal letter. So you're going to take your words that you get out of the device, and you're going to write them down. Then you're going to put them into the keep safe, and that thing is going to disappear, and you're never going to forget where you put that. But it's not going to be in a safe. And if it is in a safe, you want to be in a buried safe. I can't say everything I want to say, but you want to make it a hidden thing that nobody can see. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You got it. God bless you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you in a couple weeks, but for sure, tomorrow morning for the VIP members, don't forget we had a motivational call every morning on Mondays and Thursdays, and so look forward to working with you tomorrow morning. Have a good night. See ya.
Good night, everyone.